I know you were taught to go out and seek money, to work hard in order to make a living, to hustle, to calculate, to seize opportunities, and if you're quick and clever enough, maybe you'll get rich. But today I want to invite you to pause and look deeper into a truth. Money has never existed outside of you. You did not come to this world to chase money. You are not a machine built to generate value in exchange for compensation. You came here to become the very current of prosperity. And that doesn't begin with the number in your bank account. It begins with how you show up each day. Money is not an isolated physical entity. It's not inked paper, digital numbers, or some mysterious force beyond your reach. Money is a truthful mirror that reflects your inner world. It reveals the frequency you're vibrating at. It reveals your deepest beliefs about value, about abundance, about your ability to receive and to give. And do you know what pushes money away from you? It's the fact that you keep seeking it, as if it doesn't belong to you, as if you're lacking, as if you have to attract something that's out there. Every time you think, how can I get more money? You're affirming that you don't have enough. And that very affirmation becomes an invisible wall that drives money away. But when you stop, when you no longer see money as the goal, but as a natural response to the energy you radiate, you step into a new dimension, a place where you don't need to chase money because money is already part of you. I want you to imagine the universe as a boundless ocean, and you are a drop within it, not separate, not small, but carrying the very essence of the whole. You don't need to pull money toward you like a magnet because you already are the ocean. And the waves of prosperity rise or fall based on how aligned you are with your mind, your intentions, and your current frequency. The issue isn't with money. It lies in the misalignment within you. When you believe money is something you have to obtain, you place yourself outside the flow. When you believe money only comes through effort, you tie your worth to outcomes. When you believe you're not worthy, you shut the door to receiving. But if you are willing to stop seeking and begin becoming, everything changes. Let me make this clear. You are money, not in the material sense, but in a deeper sense. You are the energy that generates the flow of abundance in your life. And when you become synchronized with that energy, money will appear like breath filling your lungs effortlessly and without force. But how do you become money? Not by chanting positive affirmations you don't truly believe, not by forcing yourself into false positivity, but by shifting your consciousness, by understanding that abundance is a state of being, not a reward. It is an innate power, not something you must struggle to obtain. I'm not here to teach you how to make money. I'm here to invite you into a truth your soul has known all along. You don't need to seek money. You simply need to become the frequency that money always flows toward. When you live in fullness, when you're grateful, when you create, when you give, money, along with many other blessings, will naturally flow toward you. Now, I want you to look at yourself. Slowly, ask yourself, what do I see money as? Who do I believe I am in relation to it? If you see yourself as someone lacking, someone who must search, someone who needs to earn love or a place just to be allowed to receive, then you are emitting a frequency of scarcity. And scarcity only produces more scarcity. On the other hand, if you know that you are already enough, that value lies not in numbers but in your essence, that money is not a savior but an ally, then you are radiating the frequency of abundance. And at that frequency, every door begins to open. I can't promise you'll get rich overnight, but I can promise this. If you truly transform from within, the outer world will have no choice but to respond, because the universe never misses a clear signal. And when you become the embodiment of prosperity, abundance cannot help but find its way to you. You've heard far too many tips like, do this to make money. Today, I'm not giving you another strategy. I'm offering you a truth, an invitation, a shift. And it is this: stop seeking, start becoming. Become the current that money flows toward. Become the energy that prosperity cannot resist. Become yourself, the version that no longer depends, no longer lacks, no longer asks for permission to live in fullness. And I won't stop here. I will walk with you through each step, each transformation, each moment you change, how you see yourself and the world, because you deserve not just abundance, but true awakening. Not to go find money, but to recognize that you are already the frequency it seeks. And once you begin living in that frequency, not just money, but love, creativity, and opportunity, all of it will naturally gather around you. So in the next part, I will show you this more clearly. Money doesn't come because you want it. Money comes when you become a frequency that matches it. Get ready, because from here, the journey of aligning with the energy of true prosperity, I believe that if you're still listening up to this point, then something within you has already begun to shift. A gentle stir inside, perhaps a small voice whispering, "This is meant for me." Perhaps a feeling fragile but true, that you are tired of chasing and that it's time to live differently. Not to live strained, but to live in alignment. Not to seek money, but to become the very frequency that money is always drawn to. And I know very well that you, the one listening to this, may be somewhere between 30 and 60 years old. Maybe you've tasted success only to hit a plateau. Maybe you're looking for a new direction. Or perhaps you're carrying within you a quiet desire, I don't want to just get through the days. I want freedom. I want to be financially sovereign. I want to live out the full potential I know I have. And if that resonates, I invite you to pause for just a few seconds to calmly admit this to yourself. You don't have to prove anything. Just recognize where you are and where you want to go. And if you truly feel that what I'm saying speaks to you, to give me a sign. Something simple. You can leave a single word below. I'm ready. Or just type 1 or 2 if you want to hear more on this topic. Because I don't want this to be a one-way conversation. I want connection. I want to know that someone is on the other side of this screen, quietly choosing to take a new step in their life. You don't have to write anything long, just a small symbol to let me know you're here, that you're stepping into this journey with me. And now I want to ask you one thing. One simple question, but it could change the way you relate to money entirely. If you were a frequency, what would you be broadcasting every day? Not the words you say, but the actual vibration beneath every action, every thought, every choice you make. Is it peace or fear? A sense of lack or gratitude? Is it I'm not enough or I already am? You might be thinking, but I don't have money yet. How can I feel abundant when everything still feels unfinished? And I understand. But this is the crucial point, where most people miss the mark. It's not that you feel abundant after you have, it's that you feel abundant first, and then you receive. Money doesn't respond like whoever suffers the most gets rewarded. Money doesn't necessarily go to the one who tries the hardest, especially if that effort is drenched in scarcity. Money responds to alignment. Money is a form of energy, and energy doesn't care about right or wrong, rich or poor, good or bad. It only flows toward what matches its frequency. So, what you need is not to force yourself to do more, but to become different, to become someone who lives in the energy of abundance. Someone who is grateful even before the results show. Someone who acts not out of fear, but out of conscious choice. And a person like that doesn't need to beg for prosperity, because they are prosperity. I'm not speaking theory, I'm describing a reality. And that reality is something you can live starting today, without conditions, without approval. All it takes is your commitment to yourself. I will no longer let my old frequency dictate my life. So what are you broadcasting each morning? When you wake up, what is the first emotion you feel? Is it pressure? Is it rush? Is it fear that you're not doing enough? Or is it trust that today is part of a prosperous journey unfolding? Because that answer will shape how money, opportunities, and life itself flow to you. And if you find yourself frequently falling into negative states, don't blame yourself. Most of us grew up steeped in the frequency of anxiety, with beliefs like, money doesn't come easy. You must suffer to earn anything. Rich people are bad. These beliefs aren't wrong. They're just outdated. And you have the power to choose again. And when you begin choosing differently, you'll see that you don't need massive effort for everything to change. Just one shift in how you exist. When you say, I am abundant, not to hide lack, but to emit a new signal. When you look at a bill not with fear, but with calm, you're sending out a new signal. When you offer value to someone without expecting immediate repayment, you're radiating the frequency of trust. And from that, money will come, not as a reward, but as an inevitable response. I know it may sound paradoxical, but the truth is, money doesn't come because you need it. Money comes because you've become the person it's always been drawn to. So today, are you ready to recalibrate your frequency? You don't need to change the world, just change within. Starting with your emotions, your awareness, your choice in how you respond to every small moment. Leave a sign below so I know you're here, listening, awakening, and if you truly want to go deeper with me, get ready, because right after this, I'll show you how to merge with the current of prosperity so you no longer have to swim against the tide, but instead become a natural part of the river of wealth with inner calm, clarity, and strength. You may have heard countless tips about how to make money, how to save, invest, or expand your income, but there's one thing few people tell you. Every financial strategy becomes useless if, deep in your mind, you still see money as something scarce. Because every external action is merely a reflection of the internal operating system, and if that system runs on fear, doubt, and a sense of lack, then no matter how skilled you are, money will come and go. It will never feel like enough, and it will never stay. I want you to pause for a moment and honestly look within. Ask yourself, how am I viewing money? With gratitude and appreciation, or with tension, fear, and caution? Every emotion, whether fleeting or recurring, sends a powerful signal to life about the state you're in. And money, at its core, just a form of energy, always responds exactly to the frequency you emit. You might be thinking, but money really is scarce. Everyone struggles to earn it. I do too, and I understand. Because you grew up in a world that repeated that message over and over. From the unconscious sayings in your family like, money doesn't grow on trees, every penny counts, don't be wasteful, to a society that glorifies extreme hustle and sacrifice as the only path to success. Everything has been programmed to make you believe that only through suffering, only through exhaustion or hitting rock bottom does money become deserved to find you. But is that truly right? Or merely a repeated truth in a world that hasn't yet learned to see money through a different lens? Because if you look a bit wider, you'll see money's not actually lacking. Every day, billions of dollars circulate across the globe. Someone buys a painting for millions. Someone pays for a coffee with cryptocurrency. Someone invests hundreds of thousands in a course, a product, an opportunity you may never have even imagined. Money is still moving, still flowing, still existing. It hasn't disappeared, hasn't vanished, isn't as hard to get as you've been told. The issue isn't money. It's how you're interacting with its energy. I want you to start visualizing money as a stream of water. It doesn't distinguish who is more worthy. It only flows to where there is no resistance. If within you exist invisible walls named anxiety, fear, guilt, doubt, then that stream cannot pass through. But if you gradually remove each of those walls, if you stop believing that money is hard to reach, hard to keep, hard to understand, then you'll begin to see money isn't hiding from you. You just never really opened the door to receive it. You might think, I need to have money first to feel enough. But the truth is that it's the feeling of enough that creates the capacity to have. You don't believe because you have. You have because you believe. When you shift your lens from scarcity to abundance, from fear to trust, from constriction to expansion, the way you act will change, the choices you make will change, and gradually your results will change too. I'm not telling you to become reckless, delusional, or to think that money will just appear with a few positive thoughts. I'm speaking about a quiet revolution within, where you start to see money as an ally, a neutral energy stream ready to serve you, as long as you are aware of what you're broadcasting. When you live with gratitude instead of fear, when you act from a place of fullness rather than lack, when you make financial decisions from clarity rather than tension, you are changing the frequency with which you interact with money, and that change, sooner or later, always manifests in reality. Think back, those moments when you made sound financial decisions, weren't they the times you felt okay, unpressured, unrushed? And the times you spent money unwisely, weren't they when you were tense, tired, or trying to fill an emotional void? That's not a coincidence. It's proof that your inner emotional state shapes the quality of your financial interactions. And so, if you truly want to change your relationship with money, you cannot start from the outside. You must begin by adjusting your inner vision. I'm not saying you'll wake up tomorrow rich, but I am inviting you to begin seeing everything from a new vantage point, a place where money no longer defines your self-worth, a place where you no longer measure your safety by a number, a place where you remember money is a tool, not a measure of character. And when you truly live with that awareness, you will naturally make more accurate, calm, and wise financial decisions, not because you know more, but because you fear less. Money doesn't hate you. Money hasn't turned its back on you. Money is simply waiting for you to look at it differently. When you stop viewing it as something scarce, you also stop acting like you're always lacking. And from there, you begin to receive, to give, to circulate, to use, and to enjoy money as a genuine flow of energy, fluid, harmonious, and no longer bound by the past or by limiting beliefs. Change begins with the way you see. When you shift your perspective, everything else follows. Quietly, without drama, but sustainably, deeply, and truly. And then you no longer have to ask, how do I get more money? Because you're already living as someone money is drawn to. Someone no longer sending out signals of scarcity, but signals of readiness. Someone who no longer needs to convince life to give them more, because they've learned how to become the space life is always eager to fill. And from that place, true magic begins. There is a simple but powerful truth that few ever teach you. Wealth doesn't come because you chase it long enough, but because you've learned how to allow it to enter your life. This may make you pause for a few seconds to reflect, because ever since you were young, you were trained to believe that if you want money, you have to run. If you want success, you have to fight for it. If you want recognition, you have to sacrifice. The mindset of the faster you run, the more you get becomes a default formula, making you believe that wealth is the finish line of a race, not the natural outcome of an inner world that knows how to open the door. But the opposite is the deeper truth. The more you chase wealth, the farther it moves away. Not because you are unworthy, but because the act of chasing sends a subtle message that I don't have it and I lack. And the universe doesn't respond to words, it responds to energy. When you live in the energy of lack, you can only touch the results of lack. That's not punishment, that's reflection. I want you to imagine wealth as a stream of water. It doesn't stand still, nor does it choose who's better to flow to. It just needs an open channel, and it will naturally find the path of least resistance. If you are a stream, but constantly placing rocks of doubt, control, fear, and obsession with outcomes in its way, you are doing the opposite of flow. You are blocking it, not with your words, but the daily energy you live in. And then you feel stuck, even though on the outside you're trying your hardest. You feel like you're pushing too much and getting nowhere, not because you haven't done enough, but because you haven't allowed. Allowing here doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean let things be. It's a conscious and proactive state where you stop resisting life itself, stop judging your worth based on instant results, and begin to act from a sense of sufficiency rather than fear of scarcity. When you act from abundance, you do everything with a different mindset, calmer, wiser, more open, and less attached. And the magical thing is, those are the exact frequencies that wealth resonates most with. Recall the moments when you achieved something big. Maybe it was an unexpected opportunity, someone who helped you at the right time, or money arriving from an unforeseen place. Were you straining in those moments? Or were you in a natural, clear, perhaps even surrendered state? It is in those moments when you weren't forcing it but were still clear that you allowed wealth to enter without even realizing it. Not because you tried harder, but because you stopped resisting. Well, I understand this goes against your usual habits of control, of planning ahead, of needing everything to be safe. But some things can't be controlled. They can only be trusted. And true wealth belongs in that category. It doesn't belong to those who have the formula, but to those who are aligned. And alignment can only happen when you allow yourself to rest within, to choose more calmly, to see things come and go more gently. If you want to know whether you've truly allowed or not, observe yourself. Do you often doubt when good things start to happen? Do you feel uneasy when money comes too easily? Do you frequently ask yourself, do I really deserve this? Or what if it goes away? These questions may sound reasonable, but deep down, they reveal an inner state that hasn't fully opened the door. You are placing conditions on abundance. But wealth doesn't require conditions, it needs agreement from within you. An agreement is not pretending to believe, it is a quiet, unshaken trust. It's when you know that, you don't have to shout to be heard. You just need to emit a signal that is clear enough and consistently hold that frequency each day. Believe that you are already enough. Believe that wealth comes not to prove you're better than someone else, but to support you in living the best version of yourself. So, have you ever truly allowed yourself to be wealthy? Not through desire, but through your inner state each day, through how you speak to money, through the emotions you associate with it, through how you receive, give, use, and appreciate its flow as a natural part of life? Or are you still acting as if you're an outsider, always waiting for a miracle, always comparing, always thinking wealth is a game reserved for the few? I'm not here to teach you how to make more money. I'm here to tell you this. If you learn to live as if you are already enough, then money cannot help but find you. Not because you are attracting it, but because you're living as a harmonized match. You no longer radiate insecurity, but stability. You no longer try to do too much, but do the right things from a place of clarity instead of impatience. And from there, you no longer chase wealth, you become its destination. Start practicing that every day. When you receive money, no matter how small, be grateful. When you spend money, no matter what it's for, spend it with clarity and ease. When you think about money, replace questions like, how can I get more with, where do I need to open up so this flow can pass through more easily? These small things, when done in a state of awareness, will change the way you connect with wealth completely. Because wealth doesn't need you to run. It only needs you to stop standing in your own way. And from the moment you learn how to allow, you will no longer feel like you're chasing, but rather like you are being supported, guided, and empowered by a current that has always been there, just waiting for you to gently merge into it. It's time you put a period to something that has silently controlled your life for so many years. Not your circumstances, not someone else out there, but the scarcity mindset. I'm not talking about how much money you have in your wallet. I'm talking about the deep-rooted belief that constantly whispers in your head, I am not enough. That phrase may never be spoken aloud, but it shows up in every hesitant action, every postponed decision, every reaction when you stand before an opportunity. And if you still carry it inside, then no matter how many wealth-building strategies you learn, you'll still end up losing your greatest opportunity, yourself. The scarcity mindset isn't just the fear of not having money. It's a hidden framework that makes you see life through a lens of limitation. It's when you don't dare spend on things that truly matter because you fear there won't be enough afterward. It's when you refuse to invest in yourself, thinking now isn't the right time. It's when you compare yourself to others and conclude they're luckier, had a better start, have something you lack. And then you pull back, you wait, you shrink your life, clinging to a false belief. When I have more, I'll live differently. But I want you to understand this on a deeper level. It is the scarcity mindset itself that